And my name is Andrew, and today I want to talk to you about something that separates dreamers from winners: how to force yourself to achieve any goal. Motivation is not magic, and confidence is not luck. Success is not reserved for a special group of people. It is built by those who decide, fully and without excuse, and that their goals are non-negotiable. If you are waiting to feel ready, you will wait forever. Progress begins the moment you take control of your actions, and not your emotions. Let me be clear about one thing: nobody wakes up every day feeling motivated. Discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. And if you want to force yourself to achieve any goal, you must stop negotiating with your comfort zone. Comfort lies. It tells you to rest when you should work, and to quit when you should push, and to delay when you should act. You don't need more inspiration, you need standards. When your standards are high, excuses don't survive, and goals become real when you attach pain to failure and pride to action. Ask yourself this: what will my life look like if I don't act? Sit with that thought, and let it bother you. Then flip the switch and imagine the reward of consistency. The respect you earn from yourself when you do what you said you would do, and every small action compounds. One workout, 1 hour of focus, one difficult decision. These are the bricks that build unstoppable momentum. And you must also learn to control your environment. Willpower is weak when distractions are strong. If your surroundings encourage laziness, you will lose. Change your circle, and change your habits. Change what you allow into your mind. Success is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things repeatedly, and especially when no one is watching. Remember this line: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your discipline. And most people fail because they stop too soon. They quit when it gets uncomfortable, when progress feels slow, when results are invisible. And that is exactly the moment where winners are created. When it hurts, when it's boring, when it's hard, that's when it's working. Force yourself to continue, and not because it's easy, but because quitting costs more than continuing ever will. Most people waste years of their lives waiting for motivation and believing that one day they will wake up feeling ready, confident, and unstoppable. That moment almost never comes. Motivation is emotional, unpredictable, and unreliable, and it shows up when conditions are perfect and disappears the moment things become uncomfortable. Discipline, on the other hand, does not depend on mood, energy, and/or inspiration. Discipline is a decision. It is the ability to act even when every part of you wants to stop. The hard truth is this: if you wait until you feel motivated, and you have already lost. Here is a powerful hook to remember. Successful people do not ask themselves how they feel. They ask themselves what must be done, and feelings change hourly, but commitments stay fixed. Discipline is what bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It is not dramatic, and it is not exciting, and it will never trend on social media, but it works every time. When you rely on discipline, and progress becomes automatic because action is no longer optional. Think about this for a moment, and how many goals have you abandoned simply because you did not feel like continuing? Not because you were incapable, not because it was impossible, but because motivation ran out. That is the trap. Motivation makes you start, but discipline makes you finish. The moment you understand this, everything changes. And you stop asking for permission from your emotions and start commanding your behavior. That shift alone separates high performers from everyone else. And discipline is not about being harsh or robotic. It is about self-respect. It is choosing long-term achievement over short-term comfort. And every disciplined action sends a message to your mind that you are someone who keeps promises to yourself. And that builds confidence faster than any motivational quote ever could. Confidence is not something you think into existence, and it is something you earn through repeated action. Here's another hook: discipline creates freedom. Most people believe discipline restricts them, but the opposite is true. And the more disciplined you are, the more control you have over your time, your finances, your body, and your future. When you lack discipline, life controls you. And when you have discipline, you control life. That is power. You do not need to all your entire life to become disciplined. You need to master small and non-negotiable actions. Wake up when you said you would. Do the work you plan to do. Finish what you start. These simple actions compound into unstoppable momentum, and discipline grows through repetition, not perfection. Even on your worst days, showing up halfway still counts. Consistency beats intensity every single time, and there will be days when you feel tired, uninspired, and overwhelmed. Those days matter more than the good ones. Anyone can perform when energy is high, and winners are built on low-energy days, when discipline carries them forward. When you act despite resistance, you train your mind to obey instead of argue. Over time, and discipline becomes your default setting. Remember this hook and carry it with you. And your future is created by what you do when no one is watching and motivation is nowhere to be found. If you can master discipline, you will never need motivation again. And you will move forward because that is who you are, not because you feel like it. Most people set goals with enthusiasm, but keep an exit door wide open. And they say they want success, yet deep down they are prepared to quit if it gets uncomfortable. That single mindset is the reason so many ambitions collapse. And when a goal is optional, effort becomes optional. When quitting is allowed, discipline weakens. Making your goals non-negotiable means deciding in advance that no excuse, and no emotion, and no obstacle will override your commitment. This decision alone changes how you think, act, and endure pressure. Here's a powerful hook to lock in, and if quitting is an option, your mind will always look for it. The human brain is wired to avoid discomfort. The moment difficulty appears, it starts negotiating, and maybe tomorrow, maybe later, maybe this isn't the right time. Non-negotiable goals shut down that conversation. There is no debate, no bargaining, no delay. And the task must be done, just like breathing or showing up to work. When your mind understands there is no alternative, it finds a way forward. And non-negotiable goals create identity, level commitment. You are no longer someone who is trying, you are someone who does. This shift is subtle but powerful, and when your identity aligns with your goal, actions follow naturally. You don't need constant reminders or external pressure. You show up because that is who you are, and this is why elite performers operate differently. They don't rely on willpower, they rely on identity. Another hook worth remembering: clarity eliminates hesitation, and vague goals invite excuses, but precise, non-negotiable goals demand action. When you define exactly what must be done, by when, and at what standard, confusion disappears. And you stop wasting energy deciding whether to act and start focusing on how to execute. Decision fatigue vanishes because the decision has already been made. And making goals non-negotiable does not mean being reckless or unrealistic, it means being firm. You adapt strategies, not standards. If one approach fails, and you adjust the method, not the mission. This mindset prevents emotional quitting. Obstacles are no longer signals to stop, they are signals to think differently, and every challenge becomes feedback, not failure. Here's another hook: pressure reveals commitment. When life gets busy, stressful, or unpredictable, and negotiable goals disappear first, non-negotiable goals remain. They survive chaos because they are protected by priority. You schedule them, defend them, and execute them regardless of circumstances. This is how progress continues even when conditions are imperfect. Non-negotiable goals also build mental strength, and each time you follow through despite resistance, your self-trust grows. You stop doubting yourself because your actions provide proof, and this internal trust becomes a competitive advantage. When others hesitate, you move. When others quit, you persist. Over time, consistency turns into mastery. And remember this final hook: success is not about wanting something badly, it is about deciding that you will not live without it. When your goals become non-negotiable, and effort becomes automatic, resilience becomes normal, and results become inevitable. Most people believe their biggest enemy is lack of talent or lack of opportunity, but the real enemy is an unmanaged mind operating inside a distracting environment. You can have ambition, intelligence, and clear goals, and yet still fail if your thoughts are scattered and your surroundings are designed to pull you off course. Success is not just about inner strength, it is about control, and control over what you focus on, what you allow into your mind, and what you place around yourself every single day. Here's a strong hook to remember: and your environment is silently shaping your future whether you like it or not. Every notification, every conversation, every habit, and every visual cue is either pushing you forward or pulling you backward. If your environment encourages distraction, comfort, and instant gratification, and discipline will feel like a constant battle. But when your environment is aligned with your goals, progress becomes natural instead of forced, and your mind responds to what it consumes. The content you watch, the music you listen to, and the people you interact with all influence your thinking patterns. And if you constantly absorb negativity, doubt, or low standards, your mind will mirror that energy. Control begins with awareness, and you must become intentional about what you allow to influence you. This is not about isolation, it is about protection. And high performers guard their mental space aggressively because they understand how fragile focus truly is. Another powerful hook, and willpower is weak when distractions are strong. Relying on self-control alone is a losing strategy. The smartest approach is to remove temptations before they test you and simplify your environment. Reduce noise, organize your workspace, limit access to time-wasting apps. When distractions are minimized, focus becomes the default. And this is not discipline through force, this is discipline through design. Control also extends to your internal dialogue, and the voice in your head can either fuel progress or sabotage it. Unchecked self-talk creates doubt, hesitation, and fear. And when your mind starts questioning your ability or exaggerating obstacles, you must intervene. Replace emotional reactions with rational commands. Instead of asking, "And can I do this?" tell yourself, "This is what I do." That subtle shift trains your mind to obey rather than resist. Here's another hook: focus is a skill and not a personality trait. It can be trained. Start by committing to periods of uninterrupted work, even if they are short. Over time, your attention span strengthens and deep work becomes easier. Most people never reach their potential not because they lack ability but because they never develop the capacity to concentrate without distraction. Your social environment matters more than you think, and the people around you influence what feels normal. If laziness, excuses, and low ambition are accepted, they will eventually feel acceptable to you as well. And you don't need to cut everyone off, but you do need to choose your influences wisely. Surround yourself with individuals who value growth, discipline, and progress, and standards are contagious. Remember this hook and carry it forward. If you don't control your environment, it will control you. Master your mind, shape your surroundings, and you won't have to fight yourself every day to move forward. Most people stay stuck not because change is impossible, but because staying the same doesn't hurt enough. And the human brain is driven by emotion more than logic, and pain is one of the strongest motivators that exists. If failure feels safe, comfortable, or familiar, and there is no urgency to act, that is why attaching pain to failure and pride to action is a turning point. It rewires how your mind responds to choices, effort, and consequences. Here's a powerful hook to start with: people don't change when they see the light, they change when they feel the heat. And as long as procrastination feels harmless, it will continue. As long as excuses feel justified, they will repeat. You must clearly define the cost of not acting. And what does failure steal from you over time? Your confidence, your self-respect, your opportunities, your future. When you emotionally connect to those losses, and inaction becomes uncomfortable, and discomfort creates movement. Pain doesn't need to be dramatic, but it must be real. It comes from honesty, and looking at your life exactly as it is and asking yourself what happens if nothing changes. The same routines, the same regrets, the same unrealized potential. And when you stop sugarcoating the consequences of failure, your brain stops treating it as an option. Avoidance only survives when the truth is ignored. Another strong hook: and what you tolerate today becomes what you live with tomorrow. Every time you let yourself off the hook, you train your mind to expect weakness, and that expectation becomes identity. Attaching pain to failure breaks that pattern. It tells your mind that quitting, delaying, or half effort is unacceptable, and not because someone else is watching, but because you are. At the same time, pride must be attached to action. Pain alone can create pressure, but pride creates sustainability. Every disciplined action, no matter how small, must be recognized as a win. Pride is not arrogance, it is earned self-respect, and when you follow through, you reinforce the identity of someone who keeps promises. That identity becomes addictive in the best way. Here's another hook: and confidence is built through evidence, not affirmations. Each completed task is proof. Each disciplined decision is evidence. Pride grows when you acknowledge your effort, and especially on hard days. That internal reward system trains your brain to associate action with positive emotion. Over time, doing the right thing feels good, and skipping it feels wrong. This is how habits are formed at a deeper level. The brain starts to link discomfort with failure and satisfaction with discipline. and you no longer rely on external motivation because your emotional wiring supports your goals. When pride is tied to effort, you don't need applause, and your standards become your source of validation. Many people mistakenly attach pride to outcomes instead of actions. That is a trap. Outcomes are delayed and unpredictable, but actions are immediate and controllable. When pride is attached to showing up, working hard, and staying consistent, progress never stalls, and even slow days feel meaningful because effort itself is rewarded. Remember this hook: your brain repeats what it rewards. Reward laziness, and you get more of it, and reward discipline, and it multiplies. By attaching pain to failure and pride to action, you stop fighting yourself and start guiding yourself, and your emotions begin working for you instead of against you, and forward movement becomes natural rather than forced. And most people overestimate what they can do in a single burst of effort and underestimate what they can achieve through steady, repeated action. And they wait for the perfect moment to go all in, believing that intensity is the key to breakthrough. The problem is that intensity is emotional, temporary, and difficult to sustain. Consistency, on the other hand, is quiet, disciplined, and relentless. It is not impressive in the moment, but it is unstoppable over time. And here's a powerful hook to lock in: success is rarely the result of one big move. It is the result of thousands of small decisions done without applause, and anyone can work hard for a day or a week when motivation is high. Very few can show up every day when progress feels slow and excitement is gone, and that is why consistency wins. It does not demand perfection, it demands commitment. Consistency works because it removes pressure, and when you focus on doing a small amount every day, the task no longer feels overwhelming. Your mind stays calm, resistance lowers, and action becomes easier to repeat. And this is how momentum is built. One small win leads to another, and before you realize it, effort becomes routine. Routine becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. And another hook worth remembering: what you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. A single intense workout cannot outperform months of moderate and consistent training. One long study session cannot replace daily focused learning. The brain and body respond best to repetition. They adapt, strengthen, and improve through exposure over time. Consistency gives your system time to grow. Intensity often leads to burnout. When people push too hard without structure, and they drain their energy and quit entirely. Consistency protects you from that cycle. It allows for sustainability. You are not sprinting towards success, and you are building endurance for it. This is why professionals last and amateurs fade. Professionals pace themselves with discipline. Here's another hook: and progress compounds when you stay in the game. Missing one day does not ruin progress, but quitting does. Consistent people understand that setbacks are part of the process, and not a reason to stop. They return the next day without drama or guilt. That resilience is what creates long-term results. Consistency also builds trust with yourself, and every time you follow through on a small commitment, you reinforce the belief that you are reliable. That belief fuels confidence. Confidence fuels courage, and courage fuels growth. This chain reaction does not start with intensity, it starts with showing up again and again. And many people fail because they wait to feel inspired before acting. Consistent people act first and let inspiration follow. Action creates clarity, and action creates motivation. When you move daily, even imperfectly, you stay connected to your goal. That connection keeps the vision alive. Another hook to remember: and small actions done daily will embarrass massive effort done rarely. 10 focused minutes every day will outperform hours of distracted work once a week. And consistency sharpens focus because it trains your mind to enter work mode quickly. Over time, it reduces friction and increases efficiency. And consistency does not mean rigidity. It means commitment to the process, not attachment to a specific outcome on a specific day. Some days will be strong, some will be weak, but the standard remains the same: show up. That standard is what separates those who talk about goals from those who achieve them. When you embrace consistency, and you stop chasing motivation and start building momentum, you stop looking for shortcuts and start trusting the process. And you stop asking how fast you can win and start asking how long you can stay disciplined. That mindset changes everything. Most people believe they are pushing hard, but the truth is they stop the moment discomfort begins. They confuse inconvenience with impossibility and resistance with danger. Growth does not announce itself politely, and it arrives disguised as pressure, fatigue, doubt, and frustration. The moment things start to feel uncomfortable is not a warning sign. It is a signal, and a signal that you have reached the edge of who you used to be. Here's a strong hook to remember. If it feels hard, it's working. Comfort never builds strength, and comfort never creates skill. Comfort never changes outcomes. Every meaningful improvement in life demands that you operate beyond what feels easy. And when you push hardest during discomfort, you train your mind to stop associating difficulty with failure and start associating it with progress. Discomfort exposes truth, and it reveals how serious you are about your goals. When everything is easy, commitment is theoretical. When it's hard, commitment becomes real, and this is where most people hesitate, slow down, or quit. Not because they can't continue, but because they haven't trained themselves to stay present under pressure, and the ability to remain focused while uncomfortable is a competitive advantage. Another hook worth holding on to: pressure doesn't break you. It introduces you to yourself, and under stress, excuses disappear and priorities become clear. You discover how disciplined you really are. Those moments are not meant to be avoided, and they are meant to be used. Each time you choose to continue despite discomfort, you expand your tolerance. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable, and what once felt impossible becomes routine. Pushing hard does not mean being reckless. It means refusing to retreat at the first sign of resistance, and it means staying engaged when your mind starts looking for exits. The brain is designed to protect you from discomfort, not to help you achieve greatness, and that is why it sends signals to stop when things get difficult. Learning to override those signals is a skill developed through repetition. Here's another hook: and your limits are usually emotional long before they are physical or mental. Most people quit at the first emotional barrier: boredom, self-doubt, frustration. And when you push through those moments, you unlock reserves you didn't know you had. The body and mind adapt quickly when given a reason to, and discomfort also builds confidence in a way comfort never can. Knowing that you can endure difficulty creates unshakable self-belief, and you stop fearing challenges because you have evidence that you can handle them. That confidence transfers into every area of life, and you approach new goals with calm aggression instead of hesitation. Many people wait for conditions to improve before giving full effort. They want more energy, more time, and more clarity. High performers push hardest when conditions are worst. They understand that ideal moments are rare and unreliable. Progress is built in imperfect situations, and that ability to execute under less than perfect conditions is what separates professionals from amateurs. Another hook to remember: and resistance is the toll you pay to level up. Every step forward requires payment in effort, focus, and discomfort. When you accept that cost instead of resenting it, and everything becomes simpler. You stop fighting the process and start moving through it. When discomfort becomes familiar, fear loses its power, and you stop running from hard moments and start leaning into them. That is where real transformation happens, not in moments of ease, but in moments when quitting would be easier than continuing, and you choose to move forward anyway. So let me leave you with this, and stop waiting for motivation and start commanding yourself. Decide who you are, decide what you want, and decide that nothing will stop you. Discipline is freedom, and consistency is power. And the moment you force yourself to act day after day, you become unstoppable. Stand up, take responsibility, and move forward, and because the world does not reward potential, it rewards execution. Thank you.